What's up, everybody? Welcome to the 100th episode of Brandon's Face. It's the podcast about a playlist. I'm Jonathan Beardsley.
And I am Brandon May.
I don't think we can really celebrate this milestone by doing anything other than what we always do, and that is talk about new music. But in the spirit of looking back, let's discuss how this podcast came about. Please jump in anytime you want. Correct me if I am wrong on anything. But to the best of my memory, sometime during the pandemic, I realized Spotify had a collaborative playlist feature. I sent you a text asking if you wanted to start one with me so that we could show each other music. We should note that we lived in the same area for about 10 years before I moved up to the Pacific Northwest.
Yep, you had just moved.
Yep. And a lot of the basis for our friendship was built on our similar love for the same types of music. We saw a bunch of our favorite producers at raves. We saw our favorite scene bands at bars. We saw icons of the eras at festivals. We like other things too, but music definitely was/is our life. Sorry, wives. So when I moved, the shared playlist became our way of continuing that part of our friendship. We quickly realized that we wanted to talk about the music we were sharing together and began having, what was it, like monthly phone conversations, bi-monthly phone conversations about all. These were like 3-hour conversations also, because we just added anything we wanted to show each other, which is the way it used to be before we realized time constraint type things.
It was chaos back then, man.
Pure chaos. You can still find some of that chaotic episodes in our early YouTube videos. But after a few months, you said we should just start recording these conversations and releasing them. I was reluctant at first. Eventually, I warmed up, obviously, since we're here at episode 100. Some of our earliest pre-streaming recordings, as I said, can still be found on our YouTube page if you go back. I'm sure it's pretty rough compared to how it is now, but those are the episodes that got us here today. The show itself has changed a little over time. We mostly cover new music now. We record weekly instead of monthly. We cover more genres than we used to, at least subgenres. But at its core, the show is still the exact same thing. It's two nerds talking about new music releases. Anything to add to that? Did I get the kind of how we got here right?
You got it right, man. You got it right. I think a lot of people might be confused by the name of the podcast.
Yeah, let's talk about the name. So when the shared playlist was created, I named it after a very dumb inside joke between a few friends of ours. You asked me before we started taking this more seriously if we should change the name. I said no. Sometimes I regret that decision, only because of how often I have to explain the name, man. Do you have to explain it every time you tell somebody what the podcast is?
I refuse to, but we can do it right here, right now.
Okay, so
I just say I don't want to talk about it.
We're not changing it. Like Frodo in the Ring, this is our burden from this point on. Okay, so first of all, it is not a political thing. To all the Let's Go Brandon people that think that has something to do with it, I don't know if you've gotten any of that like side eye. No, has nothing to fucking do with it.
No.
So, Brandon loves to do a thing when he does not want to take a picture where he just kind of dead faces it, so everyone has to retake the picture. This act became a verb because you did it so much, and I would just comment on every picture you did it in, #Brandon's face. When we were creating the playlist name, I was like, what is the only thing that just links Brandon and I and nobody else would search these two words together? That is what I came to. Was there any like other background into it you can remember? That's how I remember it.
It became a thing because I believe people were posting these photos, not looking at my face, but looking at everybody else's face, and how awesome and great everybody looked. But then here's Brandon in the background, just just taking everything way too seriously. So
you used to get away with this at like big birthday pictures where there's like 30 people and nobody's going to notice. You've done this in like 4-person photo booth pictures. I have them in my room.
To be fair, 3 out of those 4 are great.
They are. I love that set of pictures, and I look at them often, and I would not change the one the way it Oh man, we should do some like black marks over the eyes, like old Kendrick album art with that photo, and make that the new playlist.
Yeah, maybe we should.
I don't know. Anything else about the show you want to talk about before we get into music news? I guess we could kind of like say what the show is now to anybody that might be listening for the first time.
Yeah,
It's pretty simple.
it's really simple actually. We just we review new music. We like music and we're super big nerds. So we have we've cut it down quite a bit, right? It's 20 singles, 6 EPs and 6 albums. That's it.
Yep, that's about our parameters every week. And of course, we've already broken these parameters in minor ways a few times, but who gives a fuck? Like
Yeah, none of
I
these
don't
things matter, but
these are merely to get our listening time to a reasonable time. And also Brandon and I have jobs and shit outside of this that we have to unfortunately do. Sponsors, huh? Hop in here. Um, but yeah, man, that's it. We usually talk about the singles up front, EPs in the middle, albums at the end. If you guys think the show would flow better the other way, comment, let us know. We're always open to new ideas on the show, but it's pretty simple. We just talk about new music, and we've got a ton of new music this week to talk about. But before we get into the actual playlist of new music to cover, we have a lot of big music news announcements, man. So the Super Bowl usually isn't a big event for new music, but we got a huge announcement this year. Beyonce will be releasing Act 2 on March 29th and release 2 new singles along with the announcement. There's been a lot of speculation about what Act 2 is over the years, and now we know it's going to be a country album. You know, I was hoping for an R&B album, but this should be interesting. Have you heard the singles at all yet? And what is your general reaction to Act 2 being a country album?
I have not listened to the singles. I'm sure we'll cover them next week
Yep.
when we do that. But so I haven't listened to the singles. I have lamented quite a few times about Renaissance Act One being not quite the homage that it was intended to be, and I really hope she gets this one right. I have faith that she can. So she definitely has the resources to get it right. So let's hope that she does.
Yeah, yeah. We will be talking about those 2 new singles next week, most definitely. I think it's interesting. I'm excited to hear the whole project. I think it's going to be interesting to see how she approaches this from an album, like constructing an album standpoint, not just a single or two, because she's done country before. Daddy Lessons on Lemonade is a dabble in country. But yeah, man, it should be interesting. I like that we have clarity. We already have a release date. I feel like the rollout for Act One was similar. We got Break Your Soul and then the album announcement not soon after. But I do think, what, a month and a half into 2024, we are starting to see trends develop. And the trend this year is clearly country. Lana announced earlier this year that her next album was going to be country. Taylor's always been kind of country pop, but more on the pop side for about the last 15 years. Maggie Rogers' new single, which we'll talk about later, is definitely veering in that direction.
Yep.
How do you feel about music as a whole moving towards country, especially pop?
I think that it's interesting. I'm not opposed to it. I think that a lot of country music fans in general kind of like dislike that country has become this caricature of itself. So I'm hoping that we get some good country out of this. Out of this renaissance of country, isn't Post Malone's playing Stagecoach, isn't he?
Yeah, that's another artist that has kind of veered into the country album. We reviewed his last album. I would say it's still mostly indie, acoustic pop more than country, but it definitely scratches that itch a little bit.
Yep.
It's going to be interesting to play out. I do not think this is going to be the end of the country turns for some major artists, but I do think the other turn is going to be hyperpop. I think hyperpop is going to be huge this year. Camila Cabello has been teasing some new stuff that sounds very Charlie XCX. Charlie herself is coming back pretty soon. So country and hyperpop for 2024 is going to be a very interesting for this show. I'm looking forward to it though.
Yeah, I'm definitely curious, man. It should be fun.
All right, let's dive into this week's music. First up, we got a new one from Clooney and Dances called To the Beat. This is a fucking banger, my man. Were you loving it too?
Yeah, this drop is fucking dirty.
Yeah.
We've talked a few times about spoken word vocals and house music, and I think it really works on this one. Although maybe there's like just too much like time of spoken word without house behind it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I thought about that, but he's saying go bestie, go. So
I mean,
what
true.
you can't cut that out, right?
You can't cut that out. You
You
are right.
can't
You
cut
are
that
right.
out. Thank you. Yeah, this is my song of the week, dude. I have a feeling it's going to be a huge year for Clooney. He's got a pretty big spot on Coachella. He's been teasing another absolute banger of a song set to drop pretty soon. Yeah, let's keep an eye out for him for sure. All
Awesome.
right, moving on. We got a new one from Anima, Pictures of You. Classic Anima. Sounds good. A little formulaic though. Did you enjoy it?
Uh, yeah,
Pictures of you in
yeah, I actually really enjoyed it, man. He went, he went full like '90s trance on this one, and
Yeah.
there's so much of that. There's so much of that influence. It's not even funny, man. I doubt we'll get another picture or like another album from Anima so soon, but I could see like a handful of singles dropping this year for sure.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to get another album this year, but I do think it's going to be a big year for Afterlife.
I mean, yeah, last year was great. Let's hope we get some more content out of them.
This next release from Adriatic and Undercat, is this on Afterlife as
I
well?
don't believe that it is actually. I
No,
think
it's on X
Yep,
Recordings.
yep. The way this mixes so well with the Anima single, that was so wild. Another great single from Adriatic, man. I love the bass line on this one, like I do
Yeah, I was gonna
most.
say if it's not released on Afterlife, it's definitely a friend of the family for
Yeah,
sure. It will
Adriatic has
work
done
really well.
yeah, Adriatic has done a ton of stuff on Afterlife, so maybe this is just something new.
Yeah, really good track. Love the tone on it.
Yep.
We got a new one from Zoo and Upsall. I think I'm pronouncing that right, called Thrill Again. Production is okay, but I am not a fan. His new album release date for Grace is now March 15th. Do you have any desire left for it after hearing this?
The guitar riff kind of threw me off a little bit, but I actually am going to disagree with you here. I think it works. I think this is my favorite of his most recent releases. It's not the caliber of Zoo music that I have come to know so well and love so much, but I liked this for what it is. So we'll see what happens. I'm curious about the album. We'll see what
Brandon,
happens.
you are worth more, okay? You are loved. Do not settle for mediocrity.
This
All
is
right, we
true.
got
This is true.
we got a new one from Artbat and Armin van Buuren called Take Off. Really, really fun track. Should hit pretty hard live. Did you like it?
Yeah, man. Think Armin will special guest at Art Bat's Coachella set. I
I
doubt it.
certainly hope so.
I doubt it.
Yeah, I
But
doubt it. Why not? Why not? What's not to prevent another rich DJ from flying across the country to hug someone on stage while hitting play on a song and both putting their hands up to a cute confetti drop, you know?
exactly, exactly.
We deserve it.
This is a good one, man. It's a banger.
It is. It is. I've got a new one from Sia and Kylie Minogue. Dance Alone is the name of it. It feels a little forced, but it's a good song. It's a hit regardless of trying to be a hit, is what I think I'm trying to say. What did you think about this one?
That's interesting. I also think that it's trying to be a hit, but I gotta say that they actually work really well together, man. This is a collab I did not know that I wanted, but apparently I did.
I mean, you tap Kylie Minogue for a dance pop single, it's gonna be good. It's
This
just
is true.
math.
This is true.
Uh, all right, we got a new version of Butterfly Net by Caroline Polachek, this time featuring Way as Blood. It's a great remix. I think it's going to fit really nicely on the deluxe edition that dropped today. What did you think of this one? Could you tell any difference from the album version on your like first listen?
Yeah, it's a little bit more haunting, if that makes
Yes,
sense.
which I love.
I emotionally felt different listening to it. And I don't think we covered Way as Blood's album last year, did we?
We did not. No,
Yeah.
should we?
It's okay. A lot of people on Rate Your Music really like it, but it's not my entire cup of tea. But for what it is, it's really good. And this collab works really well, I think.
Yeah. Shout out, rate your music. Um, all right, we got a new one from Jennifer Lopez. This is the title track off of her upcoming album dropping tonight. This Is Me Now. Inject these early 2000s R&B vibes straight into my veins, man. This is great stuff from J-Lo. Cannot wait for the album. Did you catch her perform this one on SNL the other week?
I did.
It was really fucking good. What'd you think of this one?
I've never been a big J Lo fan, man. I like her hits.
Your loss.
Like every other J Lo song. This is okay.
It's more about the arpeggiated guitar at the beginning, just hitting that like certain like anytime I hear that in a beat, I'm like, yes, this is exactly what I want.
That's fair,
Um,
man. That's
it's
fair.
gonna be an interesting album. Another album that is shaping up to be interesting slash badass is this new one from Erica DeCassier. Her new song Ice featuring They Hate Change is some god tier shit, dude. This is like modern R&B meets old school Puffy and Mace sounding hip hop with a little Big
Yes.
Sean in there. I fucking love this. What about you?
That's so funny, man. My notes say feels old school, sounds modern.
Yep.
Fantastic track. Love the production.
Yeah, same, dude. This one it's really really good. Got me much more excited for the album. So we got a
Awesome.
new one from Haley Knox, her song Stranger. I don't think we've heard from her since her song Charismatic last year, which I think was both of our song of the week when we reviewed it.
Yep.
It took listening to this one in the headphones for it to really sink in, but once it did, I fell in love with it. What about you?
It's funny, man. That's actually the same exact thing that happened to me. It's good. It's slow though, but when you're
It is.
actively listening to it, it's so good.
Yeah, her voice is special. I
It
really hope
it
she puts
really
out an
is.
EP at least this year.
Yeah, I'd love a full project from her.
All right, this is a weird one. So we got a new one from Faye Webster called Feeling Good Today. I like that it throws off what my expectations for what the rest of the album will sound like, but it's weird as a single. Am I wrong?
I do not like this Faye version of Faye Webster. Don't do that, please.
Do that. Stop it. Stop it. Yeah, I think
Some somebody spray her in the face with some water, man. This is not it.
I feel like I've liked every other single for this album, so I
She's on the
remain
Jack White
cautiously
schedule.
optimistic. Yes, except with songs, not albums.
Right, exactly.
We got a new one from Maggie Rogers. Don't Forget Me. We talked about this one at the beginning. It's another pop star making a country turn. We will dive into that more next week with the Beyonce release, but personally, as a fan of her more mid-tempo and dance poppy stuff, this one wasn't really for me. What about you? You typically have a higher tolerance for this type of thing.
Yeah, I didn't dislike this. I think it threw me off a little bit with the country influence, but
Yep.
I'm gonna have to get used to that this year. So
Yeah, we all are. We
right.
all are. All right, we got a new one from Girl in Red, Too Much. I always forget how much I like Girl in Red's music until I listen to it again. So thank you for throwing this on. Did you like it?
I just fucking love this song, man. It's so good.
Yeah, ever since her Coachella performance the other year, I've been on board for sure. I bought some stock in Girl in Red.
Right, exactly.
It's
It's only
aging
gonna
well.
go up, man. It's only gonna go
It's
up.
going up. It's going up right now. All right, we got a new one from Ulver, A City in the Skies. This one didn't blow me away, but I thought it was a really solid track. What did you think of this one?
Black metal musicians turned synth rock band has released another
Is
song
that what
that
it is?
yeah, we
I was gonna
covered.
say we've covered Ulver, and I was surprised to put them at this end of the rock spectrum on the playlist.
They in the early 2000s, late 90s, they released a handful of black metal albums, which are good. They are good, but they have since turned into like the weird synth pop band, which I'm honestly I'm a fan of, and I think that I think
Interesting.
that I think that you know how much I hate when people just change their sound into like a poppy direction, but this isn't like a poppy direction. It's just a different. They were nobody knows who fucking Over is. So if anybody's listening to the top 40 and they're like, oh, Over, yeah, I know them, then I'd be surprised. But yeah, I think it's good, man. I don't think it's their best. We covered their album in 2021,
Hmm.
and I remember that blowing me the fuck away. So I'm interested to see. This is I think the lead single. But I could be wrong for a new record. I don't know. Maybe scratch that. But
Yeah,
it's good. I liked
yeah.
it.
We'll see if they find their groove with this realm. Like you said, they're nobody knows really who they are. They got nothing to lose. Try whatever you want. I'm not trying to say anything. It's surprising. That's
Oh
all.
no,
Like
oh
I
no,
feel
I
like
get it.
artists can change genres as fast as they want. It's just a matter of if I'll be able to connect with it the same as their other music right away, you know?
Yeah, I in fact go back and listen to their last record, man.
I'm gonna have to do
It's really
that.
good.
Yeah.
It's really good. I think I remember you liking it. I think I liked it a little more than you,
Yeah,
but
I remember giving it a positive review. I
yeah.
will definitely go back to it.
Yep.
All right, we got a new one from Mannequin Pussy, Nothing Like. Every single they release only gets me more excited to hear the rest of the album. It's been a really long rollout, but I do think it's going to be worth the wait. Where are you at on this one?
Exactly the same.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah,
Cannot
we'll
wait.
cap the singles here if they do release any more. Hopefully they
I'd
don't.
be very surprised if they did. But Mannequin Pussy got a little bit of flack for releasing a music video that was majority AI. I think somebody hand drew like the cartoons. I didn't even watch the video because I couldn't really care about what the latest outrage is. But
Sure.
apparently people did not like that they used AI. So.
Yeah, people really don't like AI. I'm one of those people at a lot of times,
Me
but
too.
I don't think in this application it really matters. Do you know how expensive music videos are if you want to put out a visual companion for something that is created by AI? I think that is the realm in which AI is fine.
Yeah, that I would agree with.
All right, we got a new one from Belmont called Liminal. This is the good stuff right here, man. Anthemic hooks, speedy riffs, heavy breakdowns, just classic Belmont. Are you a fan as well?
Yeah, man. You know I like some poppy post-hardcore. The double bass grooves are great. We've got a lot of 4 Year Strong. It reminds me a lot of 4 Year Strong, man. So
Their guitarist is so fucking fast, dude.
I know,
Like,
right?
this dude, he's got some speedy hands. I'm a fan. All right, we got a new one from Artificial Language called Skinwalker. Talk to me about this one.
This is the track that was grayed out last week. I added it to the playlist once it
Oh,
finally
that's right.
released, and
Yep.
then they grayed it out again for a day. I don't know if you noticed that, and I was like, God damn it,
Heart
man! I
attack.
just want John to listen to it, man. It's got that kind of like poppy tesseract sound, but it's got like a lot of really groovy riffs. It's prog, so your mileage may vary on whether or not you like this kind of thing. But I thought
Sure.
it was good.
Well, I did hear it. It's very epic, very proggy, as you said, a little over the top, but it's really well written. I loved the twinkly little key sounds in the
Right,
middle there.
right.
Nice touch, really nice touch. I'm glad I got to finally hear it. Hopefully, we hear more from them soon. All right, we got a new one from Last Chance to Reason, Archons and Acolytes. This sounds like Between the Buried and Me on mushrooms, and it's fucking incredible, dude. There's so
Yes.
much creativity going on here. It's kind of overwhelming. Also, the guitar sweeps on this track are fucking insane.
There we go.
I loved this one, man. What about you?
I'm calling it sludge gent because it just kind of like it's like doomy and it's not copying Meshuggah, but
Yeah,
it's still that sound. Self-released prog, man.
sludge
I
jam.
love this. I love it, man. It's good stuff.
You better start a sludge jam playlist the second this podcast ends, Brandon. I'm gonna follow that one.
Oh my god.
All right, we got a new one from your Ghost in Glass called Pistol in a Pulpit. This mix is a little rough, but the track itself shreds, especially that last breakdown. Really, really good stuff. What are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, this is my song of the week, man. I
Yes.
love this. This is immediately up my alley. It's got the harshness, the raw recording. It's got that punk kind of like energy, but it's got all of the elements of
Hmm.
heavier post-hardcore that I just fucking love. I don't know where I found this band or how I did. Criminally underrated at 1,000 monthly listeners a month, maybe even a little less. Everybody go listen to this band. Really good stuff.
Great stuff, man. All right, let's cap this week off with the only rap track on the singles this week is Kid Cudi and Denzel Curry's new track Black Ops. So I was hoping Denzel could save this one once it started, but no, it didn't work for me personally. Did it work for you?
You know the answer to that.
No, no. Well, you're the same as me though with Denzel, so I don't know,
Yeah, no,
man.
I agree. I wanted Denzel to look, man. The when I had this song on and I wasn't like actually listening to it, it was good. But once you like listen to it, it's like, oh, really? You know?
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's fair. I mostly added this one just to say I have gone back to the Kid Cudi album, and you are right. It is not great. I still won't say it's quite as bad as everybody thinks it is, but it might not be as high as the seven, which I think I gave it.
Fair.
All right, let's move on to the EPs this week because we've got some fucking bangers, dude. First up, we got Lil Sim's new EP, Drop 7. dear God, this project is incredible. Might be my favorite of hers to date. Her rapping over these experimental beats is just a match made in heaven. The producer deserves just as much credit as Simz does on this one. She absolutely kills it though, man. This EP back to back with the Shygirl EP we'll be talking about next was my favorite part of the playlist this week. Both projects are so fun and go together really, really well. I could not stop listening to them, man. What about you?
I am going to fully agree with you. This was my favorite two EP run on this playlist this
Yep.
week. Lil Simz just straight up destroys this. She is completely in her element, even when stepping out of her element. There's a Latin pop track, there's a dance track, there's bars, there's singing. This EP has everything one could want from Little Simz and more. Huge respect. This project is amazing. It really is
Yeah.
amazing.
Fuck yeah, dude. I'm glad you enjoyed it just as much.
Oh yeah.
No idea where we'll be talking about this one later in the year. This could be a few different genres. As
Right.
could this next one. It's Shy Girls EP, Club Shy. If this is the music that is playing in Club Shy every night, sign us up, man. She
Right.
anchors this project, not just with her voice and creativity, but also her ability as a curator and producer. Every producer and feature involved does nothing but enhance this project. And this EP and the Little Sims EP might be a little too short to make any real run at an album of the year, but I do think they should be respected as such. It'll be hard to find a better 15 minutes of dance or rap this year. I assure you that. What did you think of this one?
This is so much fun, man. The boys noise track drew me in. The entire EP kept me here all fucking week. It is
Yep.
a great little burst of energy in a short, like 15-minute boost. You know,
Hmm.
every track has its own identity, and it still sounds cohesive. I am excited to hear what Shy Girl has in store for us in the future, man. This was really neat.
Dude, yeah, same. I saw her name pop up a few times last year. I think she released an album that we kind of missed, but we are definitely going to be following from this point.
Yep.
All right, we got a new EP from Terrace Martin. This is her thoughts. Another ad that I only made to help dispel this dumb rumor that I hate all covers. I love these. Why can't all covers be Terrace Martin playing Snooze by SZA on the saxophone over some smooth jazz, Brandon? Can
You
you answer
know,
me that?
I can't answer you that, but I'll tend to agree with you. So,
I love this, man. I know you loved it as well. Tell me what you loved about it.
oh yeah, man, this entire concept is incredible. Jazz covers celebrating female pop music, man. Let's go. Everything on this is immaculate. I came back to it so many times this week. The saxophone is a massive star throughout this, but I gotta shout out the drummer that worked on this project, especially the Kill Bill. They got
Hmm.
it perfect. They got it
Yep.
perfect.
Yeah. Whole project is perfect. The two SZA covers in particular, though, really had me going.
Yep.
All right, man. Talk to me about this EP from Plains, Blow Up That Fizz.
I mean, I look, man. I have trouble categorizing this band. We've got a lot of
Same. Yeah.
genre blending this week. There's like punk influence. There's pop melodies, and yet they don't really shy away from slowing it down when they want to. I love that. I think this EP is like a lot of fun, and I don't think that Plains is really taking themselves too seriously. And you also know that I love that, even when the music
Hmm.
itself is serious music. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yep.
it's good music. It's clearly done well, and there's like effort put into it, but they also don't care. There's just that air of confidence in releasing something like this that I really like.
Dude, I agree. I didn't know what to think of this one going in, but it's a really fun and well-made, fuzzy Brit EP meets punk, like you said.
Right.
I like the songs that lean towards the punk side of things a little more, like Half
You
Zombie
and
and
me
Scared
both.
to Lose. Yeah, but all five of these tracks are really, really good. Definitely going to be keeping an eye on them. Glad they finally put out an EP for us to cover.
Right.
All right, man, we got a few albums to talk about this week. Are you ready to dive in?
Yeah, man, let's do it.
Okay, starting with this new one from Usher, Coming Home. So I gave it the three listens, home speakers, headphones, car speakers. I waited for the whole thing to click with me, and it still just really hasn't happened. It's not a bad album, but it's not a great album either. I think his voice still sounds great. That was never in question. The question with his albums, for me at least, has always been how consistent can he keep the quality and style of production? We're in an era where quality is not an issue anymore. He's one of the biggest artists of all time with his pick of who he wants to work with as a producer. It's all going to sound really good and polished, but like many of his albums throughout the 2010s, he got caught up trying to do too many things at once. There's some good pop songs on here, there's some good dance songs on here, there's some good R&B songs on here, but it's not a great pop album, it's not a great dance album. It's an okay R&B album because it's trying to be all of these things at once. It fails to achieve greatness at all, any of them. He remains one of the coolest people to ever walk the earth, but not even he's immune to sounding a little corny in his 40s like so many great R&B singers before him, you know? This album should benefit from his outstanding Super Bowl performance that reminded us all why he's perhaps the greatest R&B artist of all time, and he deserves that boost. But I have a feeling as time goes on, this is going to be one of the less talked about albums of his career. Even though I have a lot of issues with the album that I kind of just voiced, I did still enjoy it overall. Good, instant classic, instant add to his essentials mix. There's some really good album cuts on here, which I kind of knew I would gravitate towards right away after the other singles started coming out. Luckiest Man, Room in a Room, one of them ones, any track with the letter U in it. But it's just not one of his best, man. I have it between a 6 and a 7. My standout is Good. What did you think of this one, man? Did you like it?
All right. This doesn't feel like it was written for Usher.
Interesting.
It's an admittedly like well written album, but Usher himself rarely has a moment to shine on this one. There are a handful of moments of the classic Usher flourishes and his falsettos, but they remain rare on this one, man. Usher having a team of writers for this album isn't surprising. What is surprising to me is that I don't feel he like had much of a say in anything that came out of his mouth. It just doesn't feel like him. It feels like the shell of a pop star. They needed to put a voice to it. The production is undeniably great with the classic 808 sounds on the drums, clear and precise on basically everything. The production, though, from a sonic standpoint, doesn't like fit for Usher's voice, which is probably why we have less Usher specific content in it. From a pop R&B position, the album's fine. It's not revolutionary, nor is it bad. From an Usher position, it's bad. It's soulless. It's phoned in. His Super Bowl performance was obviously fucking great, though. Banger of a performance. My man really did it. He really did it. Good's my standout. I disliked this more than I did like it. I'm going to give it a 4 out of 10. But that's where I stand.
Yeah, I think 4 to 6 is fair, anywhere in that range. Yeah, I honestly thought you were gonna like this one a lot because he's getting into his like, I don't know, more romantic side. But I think, like you said, man, that it just doesn't remain consistent enough throughout. Hopefully, this isn't the album he goes out on, though. You know, I think he's got a few more in him.
Right. He's gonna have to do a this is this is it, Michael Jackson's final tour sort of thing. You know what I'm saying? Before he goes out. But yeah,
You mean the tour that killed Michael Jackson before he even got to do it? I hope Usher doesn't do that.
Is that what? That's an entire other podcast.
You like conspiracy theories, Brandon?
Let's
Shoot, what
table
happened to
that.
Michael Jackson?
Let's table that.
All right. Let's talk about this Brittany Howard album. What now? This is an absolute scorcher of an album, a full-on experimental R&B record that just does not miss. Her voice is outstanding. That's been well established since her days in the Alabama Shakes, but hearing her hit the gallant notes on Red Flags is a nice reminder of it. We talked about Prove It to You last week, but holy shit, man, that track just keeps getting better every time I listen to it. And the title track for this album is a work of art all in itself. Her voice just soaring over that like fuzzy distortion is all I really look forward to this week. I'm giving this one a fucking 8. This album is incredible. My standout is Prove It to You. What did you think of this one, man?
This album is insane, John. Brittany sings with such life in her voice, and you can tell she's like putting all of herself into every track. And obviously, this comes as no surprise to anybody who's listened to Alabama Shakes before, but this whole thing is just lush with all of the elements that have made classics. We have insane bass lines with luxurious and soulful vocals overlaying while Brittany just sweeps licks off her guitar like she does it in her sleep. This album feels passionate, effortless, powerful, and atmospheric all at once. I love every second of this album, Jon. I'm kind of at a loss for words other than that, to be completely honest with you. I went into this with a pretty open mind, and I came out, every time I listened to it, I was fucking blown away by another part. It's a 9 for me. It's one of my favorite albums of the year so far. Samson
sure.
or Red Flags are going to be either one there's not a fucking bad track on here, man. This might even
No.
this might even graduate to a 10 later down through the year. This is a very, very good album.
I was not expecting the best R&B album of the week to not belong to Usher going into it. But yeah, man, you know what? You're right. I'm bumping it up. It's a 9. It's officially a 9. You talked me into it, Brandon.
It's a good one, bro. It's a good one,
It's
man.
phenomenal. It is one of the best albums of the year so far, no question. All right, let's move on to this Kelela Raven Remixes album. We don't need to talk about all these. I just like the singles, so I figured I'd throw the album on. For the most part, the singles are still my favorites after hearing all these. Closure and that AG remix of Happy Ending are exactly what I was hoping for when this album was announced. There's a few other gems on here too, though. The remix of Raven with Baby Mother to open the album is great. The down-tempo happy hardcore remix of
Yeah.
Sorbet by LSDXOXO was always a fun listen when it came on. I didn't give this one a score. I just really liked it. What did you think about this one?
I didn't give it a score either, and it's Rave and the
Yes,
remixes.
thank you. Thank you.
I don't have much of a review on this one, man. I enjoyed all of it, though. She did a great job of putting together her music with like a giant array of different genres of electronic music. I love a few of them, but I think my favorite is that Miss Call Crya remix.
I
That
should have
shit
guessed that,
goes
yeah.
hard, Jon. I love that it's just a combo of so many different styles. You can tell that Kelela really loves dance music, maybe even as much as we do.
Hmm. Oh yeah. Yeah, I think that's been evident if you go back through her whole discography, for sure.
Well,
She is a student of the game.
it's funny, man. I've got a lot of friends who I've been to festivals with, and multi-genre festivals where it's like, okay, these people are going to go see Flostradamus, where I'm going to go see some big room house. Um, a lot of people ended up either being a bass head or a house or a techno head, and I think it's great that she really doesn't pick a lane here. She's like, all lanes, let's go. And I really love that about this remix album. She just did what she was like. She gave the remixers full creative control, and I think
Hmm.
that is not only a powerful thing to do, like that's a major power move, but that's also really really cool. Like that's just a cool trait to be like, you know what? I've already put mine out. Why don't you do your version of it? And then let's just release all of them. Cause it's like what, 25 fucking tracks or something like that. Multiple
Yeah, like
remixes
20
on Enough
songs,
for
hour,
Love.
20 minutes.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot. And I feel like I mean, obviously I'm super into her types, both music's EDM and R&B that she's working with in this album in the remix format. But like I feel like the way she approaches remix albums makes you actually want to listen to them. Like it's worth it the way she constructs them. There's a lot of
Certainly.
remixes albums that come out that just really aren't worth your time. We're not going to listen to 2 hours of fucking miracle remixes by Calvin Harris, you know? Like, but yes, we will absolutely cover this every time.
Correct.
All right, man, talk to me about this, the Pineapple Thief album. It leads to this.
All right. Well, what a way to start an album, man. Put it right. Really sets the tone for the entire record. It's like if the Afghan Wigs and A Perfect Circle had a baby. It's just so cool, man. On this album, I think it's their 16th studio album. They really show off why they have so much longevity. And it's because they're super fucking talented. They show off a little here. They mess with some time signatures. They give every instrument a place and a time to shine and breathe. And they do it all while making it feel effortless, even though this album, as soft as it can be and at some points, is incredibly technical from like a musician's standpoint here.
Hmm.
The mixing on this album is especially another something to admire. Everything sounds clear and crisp and combines in such a good way. they really let themselves get riffy on the Frost, and they turn the ambience all the way up for All That's Left. We've been getting some really good prog rock this year, and this album may just be my favorite prog rock album, not metal, but rock album of the year for me so far. There's so many layers, there's so much atmosphere and ambience with everything, and it all sounds so pleasant, which I think is a difficult task to do when you're doing such technical progressive stuff. You know what I'm saying? It's an 8 for me. The Frost is my standout. What'd you think about it?
Didn't love it. So we talked about them a little bit last week, and what I liked about their track, It Leads to This, is present throughout the album as well. They balance the more alternative side of their sound well with the more proggy side of their sound. I kept hoping things would get a little bit heavier or progress a little more, but that's kind of more a matter of taste. I feel like execution-wise it's solid, but the thing that I actually didn't like about the album, and what I'm going to disagree with you on, is the mix. Something about the mix just was
Really?
not doing it for me on this one. And I still, like I said, the title track, It Leads to This, is good. I'll agree, Put It Right is a hell of a way to kick the album off. But overall, man, I'm kind of in the middle on this one right now. I'm going to give it a 5.
Okay.
My standout is The Frost. I enjoyed that one the most. That riff is really fun.
It's a great song. I love that that's both our standouts, and
Of course.
we have completely different views on the album. God, I
A
love
good
this.
song's a good song, man.
This is true. This is true.
All right, we got a new one from the Chisel you threw on here. What a fucking nightmare. Please talk to me about this one.
Number one, a perfect album title. I love that.
Yep.
Would it surprise you if I said that not only do I fucking love this album, but that it's also an Australian band? I didn't
No,
think
not
so.
at all.
I didn't think
Nope.
so. The Chisel came onto my radar last year, but the time had passed for us to review their album last year. But if you liked this one, there's a guarantee you'll like that one as well. It's raw as hell. It's punchy, raw recording sound, yelling, screaming, punching. It's just pure punk rock on this one, man. They blend the styles really well. It's super aggressive, but there's even some melody here and there. There's some skate punk thrown in there. There's a little bit of hardcore, but it's mainly just some old school fucking Brit punk from Australia. It's angry, and I love it. It's a 7 for me. Evil by Evil is a really good song, but I mean, it's a quick listen. I think it's 30 minutes or something like that. Just
Yep.
throw it on and get angry.
I mean, I agree with everything you said, dude. No album has ever made me immediately want to start pushing somebody around a pub before hugging them more than this. It's a goddamn force to be reckoned with from the moment it starts. The intro track isn't my standout, but it's not far off, man. When a vocalist starts doing that thing of saying a line over and over while progressively getting more and more aggressive as the music gets more and more aggressive, it's just beautiful, man. And the whole album just carries that energy. It's a lot of fun. I'm going to give it a 6. My standout is actually Cuts Like a Knife. It
It's a
was
good
a
one.
toss up, though, between that one and Vengeances for me. I think the back half of this album just rips, man.
Oh
I'm a
yeah.
big fan of it. I will definitely be diving back in, and this one is subject to go up in scores with subsequent listens for
Hey, I'm
sure.
glad you enjoyed it, man.
Yeah, dude, really, really good stuff. All right, last album this week is the new one from Hulder, Verses in Oath. Talk to me about it.
Number one, I love an album that starts with crows cawing. I've never heard an album like that before, but it's so fucking perfect for this whole thing. Hulder, like I said when we covered her single a couple of weeks ago, is a solo project that just continues to impress me. She does everything on the album except for like the artwork and the mixing. This is her third full-length studio album, and it's the first of hers though that hasn't been self-released. This one comes to us via 20 Bucks Spin, who has signed a bunch of really good bands in the
Yeah,
last couple of years.
we've covered them.
Oh yeah. What I love about Hulder though is that there isn't like a schematic for any particular subgenre of black metal that she follows. We get like the enslaved influences. We have some emperor influences, and we even have some like old school early black metal influences, and they're all balanced very nicely. The synths, when they come in, they aren't overbearing. When they come into a track, I think they're mixed well. I think that they're like a welcome reprieve from the assault that we've been hearing. And the classic tremolo picking exists in bounds on this album, but there's also
Yep.
like some really chuggy riffs that come in with some really great double bass grooves. The vocals are all top notch, and she gets really low at times, like on Vessel of Suffering. The operatic interlude instrumentations is just haunting and gorgeous. The symphonic elements she adds to Harken the End add to like the heaviness.
Yes.
Even though like the operatics are soft, I love that it still makes it heavier somehow for me.
Hmm.
You know I love a good closer. Veil of Penitence is so good, man. That tremolo melody, the sounds of like medieval soldiers sword fighting, the way the vocals are mixed on this one really hits right. It's just behind the music. I love this track. I'm definitely going to be revisiting this album throughout the year. This is an 8 for me. It is a very solid black metal album, and I'm excited. I'm glad we listened to it, and I'm dying to hear what you think about this one.
Yeah, I feel like it had been a while since we reviewed a black metal album, so this was kind of refreshing, man. I'm a fan of the more melodic side of the genre, and that sound is pulled off incredibly well on this album. It's dark and atmospheric, but it's also approachable, at least as far as black metal goes. It's really fast, but it doesn't overdo it on big moments to the point of diminishing returns. So that when they do come around, like at the end of Hark in the End, it really hits. I did find it to get a little muddy and monotonous as time went on, but overall, this is a fucking great album, dude. I'm giving it a 7. My standout
Yeah,
is Hark in the End, just because that
it's
ending
it's
part
a
is
good
so
one.
fucking epic,
That's a
dude.
good
Yeah.
one, man.
That's
That
the
whole
shit
song is
Vikings
crazy.
fight to. Yeah, that's
Exactly. Exactly.
yeah. Thank you for throwing this one. Couldn't be a more appropriate album to cap off our 100th episode with, truly.
Oh yeah, that's Brandon's Face podcast for you. We cover Usher and solo female black metal artists
That's what we do.
in the
All
same
right.
episode.
All right, that does it for us this week and for the 100th episode. Thank you all for tuning in. Join us again next week. We'll still be back. It didn't stop at episode 100. We're going to be talking about new releases from Chromeo, Idols, Jennifer Lopez, Mother Mother, Tin Liquor, bunch of singles. We got Beyonce, a whole lot more. Be sure to check that out. Make sure you're following along with the playlist that the podcast is based on. You can find the link to that in the show notes. Now you know the whole story behind that playlist as well if you listen to the beginning of the episode. You can also find us on social media at Reddit and Instagram. Just search Brandon's Face Pod. We'll see you next time. Peace.
Peace.